week of May 2021. This is Real World News. My name is Gracie Richter.
And I'm Tara Stowers. Here's your headlines.
The federal government released its 2021 to 2022 budget, which came in at $161 billion. The budget delivers an $18 billion aged care reform package over the next 4 years. Advocates say a system-wide overhaul is needed to ensure better quality care for older Australians living in aged care. The budget also expands childcare subsidies with an expected boost of $1.7 billion over 3 years.
A Melbourne man's hopes of returning home were quashed in the federal court. The court denied his application to overturn the Morrison government's India travel ban. Judge Tom Thorley yesterday refused to overturn an emergency declaration that prevents Australians in India from returning home. The ban is due to expire this weekend.
Overseas now, 3 Israelis are dead after another day of rocket fire from Gaza. This after Palestinian officials confirmed 20 people have been killed and hundreds injured in Gaza airstrikes.
China and Indonesia have held military exercises in the South China Sea right on Australia's doorstep. The Chinese government warned they will use long-range missiles on key Australian targets if the government gets involved in the potential conflict over Taiwan. It comes after increased tensions over a variety of issues, including the management of the outbreak in COVID-19 in China.
Back home now, Aussie television veteran Frank Warwick has died at the age of 76 after a long 5-year battle with dementia. People across the Australian television industry are sharing memories of their time with Warwick.
It's time to mind your business. Joining us with your financial headlines is Eliza Woods.
Due out later today, the Morrison government will release its FY 2021-22 federal budget. Top priorities for what has been called the pandemic budget include spending $10 billion to build infrastructure and extending the Job Trainer program another 12 months. The Job Trainer is a $1 billion apprentice-based training program that targets 17 to 24-year-olds. Crown Resorts is caught up in a bidding war. Star Entertainment says it would pay $12 billion to merge with the Aileen Casino Corporation, but the other bidder, Blackstone, countered by raising its own bid. Of course, all this interest has Crown's share value at heights we haven't seen since 2015. And Woolies may be going dry. Woolworths confirmed this week that it's spinning its liquor and gaming division off as its own company. Nothing is official yet, but it looks like Woolies might be dumping Dan Murphy's, BWS and its pokies business later this year. Unbelievable. Checking the markets, the Dow Jones closed down 34 points, the Nasdaq closed down 350 points, and the Aussie ASX 200 is up 92 points as traders push it to record-breaking highs. Those are the financial headlines. I'm Eliza Woods, and that's us minding your business.
Big bugs, space junk, and 4 rocket men. Rosie Gale has your science and technology headlines.
A giant wood moth has been found at a primary school in southeast Queensland today. The specimen belongs to the heaviest species of its kind in the world, according to entomologists. Builders found the rare moth at Mount Cotton State School and took a photo before returning it to the forest. The ordeal provided inspiration for students in the school's creative writing class. In other news, a large piece of space junk is currently out of control, and part of it is expected to crash down to Earth in the next few weeks. It's impossible to predict exactly where the pieces that don't burn up in the atmosphere might land. The debris is part of the Long March 5B rocket that recently launched China's first module for its proposed space station. The incident comes roughly a year after another similar Chinese rocket fell to Earth, landing in the Atlantic Ocean. And finally, SpaceX returns 4 astronauts safely to Earth. The 167-day mission is the first US crew splashdown in darkness since the Apollo 8 moon shoot in 1968. The astronauts flew back in the same capsule named Resilience, in which they launched from NASA's first Kennedy Space Center in November. It was an express trip home lasting just 6.5 hours. Those are today's science and technology headlines. I'm Rosie Gale, reporting from QUT. Have a great day.
The global pandemic has affected us in many ways. Here in Brisbane, more and more people are cycling to work and other events to maintain social distancing and to get a bit of exercise. Shona Scalea has this report.
There are so many ways to get from A to B, by car, public transport, or even electric scooter. But recently, more and more Brisbane residents have been using cycling as a form of transport. Studies by the Public and Active Transport Committee found that with less people using public transport due to social distancing and the increased risk of spreading COVID-19, Brisbane bikeways have surged in popularity by 90%. Initiatives such as the Brisbane Cycling Festival and the QUT Cycling Club are geared toward professional and amateur cyclists and are aimed at getting all ages and abilities involved in this new cycling craze.
I've been cycling since, I've known how to cycle since I was quite young, but I've only just started cycling seriously about 8 months now. You meet so many great people, it's such a good way to keep fit and healthy, and it's just a great time in general.
A reported 9 in 10 adult Queensland cyclists do cycling for the significant health benefits. The Queensland government reported that Queenslanders travelled around 348 million kilometres by bike in 2015, a 46% increase when compared to kilometres cycled in 2001. That uptake is no accident, with the state government investing more than $211 million into safe cycling infrastructure.
So I met a lot of the people that I ride with through the QUT Cycling Club, and we just sort of branched out from there. So I met lots of people from races and through QUT, or even just at coffee afterwards. So it's just a great networking community.
Jetta Hutchison, president of the QUT Cycling Club, says being involved in initiatives such as the QUT Cycling Club or Brisbane Cycling Festival are great ways to try something new and step outside of your comfort zone.
It's such an amazing social sport that it allows you to meet so many new people, and you can really get a really great sense of community out of it. So cycling has significantly improved my mental and physical health by a long margin. It's probably one of the biggest improvements to my mental well-being by waking up early in the morning and getting some exercise in. And in my physical health as well, I feel amazing at the moment.
Whether you're a cycling enthusiast like Tom or an amateur like me, it seems like cycling has nowhere to go but up here in the Sunshine State. This is Shona Scalea from Brisbane, QUT Real World News.
COVID-19 has greatly impacted the wedding industry, with brides-to-be and wedding organisers still adjusting to the new landscape. We cross to Eliza Woods for more details.
Today, we take a look at how the wedding industry has evolved and adapted since the COVID pandemic brought the industry to a halt in early 2020. Between 2015 and 2019, on average 20,000 couples said "I do" in Queensland each year. But 2020 was a different story. Only 15,000 people tied the knot, and many with very little fanfare. Recently engaged, Eliza Panitza is currently navigating the post-COVID wedding scene with her big day planned for July.
2022 seemed like a more realistic time to be booking things really confidently, but we didn't really want to compromise on the venue.
Eliza has reason for concern, with many recent weddings being postponed due to snap lockdowns.
I also know people who are ready to, will hopefully have their wedding date for the 3rd time, so 2 cancellations, and they just want it to happen. They're just going to keep trying until it does.
One couple in that boat is Sam and Claudia Stone, who have now planned 3 wedding days, with 2 having to be cancelled due to lockdowns in Queensland.
Yeah, it was a really weird, stressful, strange time. Obviously you had what was happening in the world due to a global pandemic, but then the lead up to like one of the biggest days of your life was completely being overshadowed as well. So it was kind of like a double whammy emotionally.
Having cancelled their second wedding day, a defeated Claudia and Sam decided to take what control they could, making the decision to elope.
We were just having dinner and a wine one night and we kind of were like, should we just elope? And my partner was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. But I still want the wedding. And he was like, I know.
Low-key weddings and elopements became the norm of 2020, but wedding stylist Angela Stevenson suggests this trend could continue beyond the pandemic.
People were doing lower budget weddings and liking it.
Brides haven't been the only ones who have had to adapt during the pandemic, with many vendors adjusting their policies to suit the times.
Now a lot more boutiques are actually stocking standard sizes that you can buy off the shelf and have altered and then have your dress in a week rather than 16, which just seems absurd to me.
The once-in-a-lifetime event, the COVID-19 pandemic, will leave its mark on the wedding event industry for many years to come. This has been Eliza Woods reporting for Real World News.
That's your news this week at Real World News. I'm Gracie Richter.
And I'm Tara Stowers. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.